Hey everyone, I'm Clayfect, and in my fluffy pouting heart, I have a soft spot for goats. So, when I saw that there's going to be a Disney movie coming out called Wish where there is a goat, I simply had to make it. But then I saw the goat. And it saddens my child-like heart to say that that's not a goat. I mean, look at it. Give it another nose and it looks like a bunny. Change the mouth and you have a deer. And if you paint it grey, it's a donkey. Now, if you love this goat, then all power to you. But in all fairness, I think I can beat Disney in goatness. So let's get started. Now, while I'm making the amateur, I just want to emphasize that I'm talking about the modern day Disney goat, not how Disney used to make goats. Because if you look at the movie The Hunchback from Notre Dame, I think it's called, there you will see the goat, so to speak, the goat of all goats. It's cute, it looks like a goat, and it's sassy in its own way. I love it. Now, I'm not saying that this Onie animal from Wish doesn't probably have a good personality. And I don't believe I can beat him in cuteness. But in goatness, I like to give it a try. So that is where we're at when I'm eagerly, if somewhat playfully, is smoothing the clay over my potato amateur wire in hope of making a cute little goat that just looks sassy and brave and happy at the same time, really trying to get that Disney look. That is also why I chose the texture that I did. First scraping it half-heartedly and then smoothing it all out again, because this time I don't want it to look realistic. I want it to look like a Disney figure. I want it to look drawn, and I have to say I just love the effect that it has. For the chest, the neck and the tail, I put some lumps of clay simply to give it a bit more of a long-haired effect. Now, trying to stay just a little bit true to the movie Wish, I am also experimenting with some glow-in-the-dark clay, trying to figure out the best way to make it yellow. I'm using alcohol-based paint and I'm using water-based paint that I'm kneading into these test balls. And of course I have one that is not with color at all. And as you can see, the one with no color at all glows the most, so that is why I decided to paint the finished alcohol-based paint I had on it, because I wanted it yellow. And why did I want it yellow, you might ask? Well, in the trailer for Wish, there's also another character that I believe is a wishing star that is very, very cute. So of course I want that little star to ride on our goat's back. Now, I had never worked with Fimo or with glow-in-the-dark clay before. So of course I had to test it out, and I took my time with this. And I have to say, I love the effect, I will keep using it. But compared to Super Sculpting and cosplay, I'm not a big fan. It is not as easy to work with, but I love the effect. And I really have fun making this little guy. And his little emoji-like face. I mean, sometimes simple is just best, isn't it? Look at that face, isn't it cute? I'm already in love with it. But with the start done, all I had to do was place it on the goat body before I put some tuft of hair into his little starry arms thingy. Hopefully making it look like that he really is riding on him and not just some stiff prompt. After that, all I had to do was brush the whole sculpture with some clay softener, and it was off to the oven for the first time. When that part of the goat was done, I moved on to making the legs and the behind. And while I'm doing that, why don't I tell you why goats has such a big place in my heart, it actually comes from deep childhood drama. Now let me tell you my story. Now, I grew up in the city, and every summer break, I had a week with my beloved grandma. But even though she lived in the city, she actually grew up on an island as a country girl, you can say. And since young little Clefect already back then was an animal lover, my grandma always took me to a farm where I could pet the animals and see nature and learn about life, I guess. It is one of the most precious memories I have with her. We always bought a bag of old bread to feed the dogs and to feed the goats. Now, I was enchanted by these goats, especially because there was a very big male goat there that always pushed all the others away. And in my child mind, I believed it was because he liked me, not because of the big bag of bread I was holding. So I quickly fell in love with him and called him Bølle, which loosely translated means bully. And over the next couple of summers, he became the star of the show for me. Until the farmer one day came and told me I had to say goodbye to my beloved goat because he was going on the internal grass field. Now let's leave my childhood memories as a bit of a cliffhanger for now and get back to the sculpture, since I'm now done with the legs and the hooves and are texturing it, because at this point I was so happy with it. I really felt like it was a Disney figure, and I just really had fun when I moved on to the head. Now, making the head was a different kind of story compared to the body, because I didn't know this at the time, but it's actually very difficult to make a goat look like a goat. I used a lot of time just shaping it as I wanted to. I understand why Disney may have had problems, but still, I believe I can beat them. Starting with popping in some eyes that was way too big for the character, and then just slowly building the skull up, placing the clay before I smoothed it. Now, while I give this little creature a brave smile and some facial details, why don't I continue telling you the story about my goat Bølle? He was getting too old. Me, not understanding farm life, was horrified that he wanted to murder my Bølle. So I was crying, begging him not to do it. So much in fact that he said that I could bite off his hands. My grandma, maybe a little bit cynical and used to farm life, was laughing and said I could ask my parents if I could buy a goat. So when we were back home to grandma's, the first thing was that I called my mom and told her I needed to save my goat. And my mom was surprised and laughing at the same time, and told me that we couldn't have a goat, but maybe grandma could on her balcony. So I begged my grandma, and suddenly every adult in the room was laughing while I was devastated about poor Bølle. Now, I'm not sure that that is the most pedagogical way of going about things, but there you have it. And that is why the goats are very near and dear to my heart. Now back to the sculpture, where I'm making the nose. I had quite a problem with making the face goat-like, even with the goatee on it, so to speak. But I realized quickly that if you flatten the nose and give it some horns, then it definitely helps. And with our little creature finally looking like a goat, I moved on to the ears that I made from clay to make it more durable, so to speak, since clay stay flexible. As a sculptor and an artist, I believe that you can never make anything that you will stay completely satisfied with. You can always see things you can do differently and so on. But at this point I was very happy with our little guy. I was so much in the sculpting process that I stopped thinking ahead. Get it? Ahead? Because I put the head on. Anyway, now I'm taking the head off because it's very difficult to make texture with the head if I want the texture also to be with the star. Our little wishy-washy friend definitely made it a lot more difficult than it had to be. So if I could go back, I would put him last. But again, I didn't. And I still had fun with the challenge. But I was pretty tired of texturing at this point, which is why I'm going to make it a little easier for you guys. And there, the neck is done. This kind of drawn texture is actually one of the most easiest to do, and I really love the effect, so I will definitely do it again. But texture is still texture, and it still takes quite a bit of time. Though I have to say I loved how this sculpture came together. I am so happy with it. Now, I am a big Disney lover, and I have the uttermost respect for it. I mean, I'm a millennial, so they practically waste me. But I have to say, I actually think in goatness, not in cuteness, I won over the modern day Disney goat. I'm sorry. Now all I had to do was to paint it, and oh my god, it was nerve-wracking. Because all I was going to do with the star was to stain it in a yellow color. So the whole time I painted around the star, I was like, don't hit it, don't hit it, don't hit it. So it was a bit of relief when I finally had managed to make a safe area and I could just start slopping paint on, as I usually do. Now again, trying to stay true to Disney's Valentino wishy-washy goat, I tried to paint it in his colors. Now, I had some room for interpretation on his body, because if you look at Valentino the goat, then you're going to see that he's wearing a onesie. A onesie! Who puts a onesie on a goat? I mean, you put a onesie on a baby, you put a onesie on a hairless cat or guinea pig, I guess, or a chihuahua, because for some reason they are always cold. But with a healthy animal with a lot of fur, why put a onesie on it? It's just wrong to tease children, in my opinion. I mean, come on! It's wrong, I say. Okay, now let's focus. Away from the onesie and back to the fur and the fur blending. Now, the fur around the mouth on our onesie-less goat are painted in what I guess is a light brown sand color, something like that. I'm colorblind. Anyway, I mixed them all together in a wet blend, making sure they fit in, so I just hoped I picked the right colors. Before I painted his tuft of hair and the hair down his back in a darker brown, simply to make the sculpture a little bit more interesting. Now while I'm painting that and painting some more details in his face and hopefully giving him some eyes so he doesn't look like a demon goat, why don't I give you a little life update? For those of you who aren't interested in that, just mute it for a minute or two and then we will be all good. Now, for those of you who are still left, I will try to keep it simple and quick for you guys. Now, for those of you who doesn't know, I have been diagnosed with sclerosis and I have gotten some medicine from that. To make it very short and maybe oversimplifying things, it is a disease that attacks the brain. It's my own immune system that attacks my brain, and I have got medicine for that, which is great. But the medicine worked too well, you can say, and now I don't have an immune system, and I have to wait for it to come up. That is why I've changed from a week to every other week that I'm posting, and that is why if my voice sounds a little hoarse, because I have been sick for over a month now. Yay! It has been tough, I will not lie, but the incredible support I've got from my family have meant the world to me, and me posting videos and you guys being there commenting on them really just still keeps my mood up and keeps me going. I am so grateful for you guys. And that is pretty much it for the update. Thank you for being here. It really helps. Now back to the sculpture and back to this video. When I was done dry brushing this little guy to make the fur pop, I gave his eye a little highlight to make them become more alive, before I finally could get working on the star, cleaning it out with some isopropyl alcohol. Before I stained it with some yellow paint, also alcohol based, to make it as translucent and colorful as possible. Not to pat myself too much on the back, but I really think that this Disney look came across super great, and I am so happy how it turned out. And with that, I think that is it for this sculpture and it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And I hope you like our little goat. I think I will call him Cozy. Yeah, Cozy is a good name for him, I think. I will not say that I managed to make him cuter than what Disney could have, but I will say he does look more goat-like in my opinion. But hey, you tell me in the comments, did I manage? Does he look like a goat or doesn't he? But for now, it's time for me to sign off. I hope to see you next time, but if you can wait until next time, why not click on the square circle right? Then you are going to see a little troll, me and Paint Fake made. It's fun. But until then, bye!